Now, the Eightfold Path is also divided into the three super educations. And what are they? The three super educations, or higher educations, are those in wisdom, which is the accurate knowledge of reality, in ethical morality, which is, how to discipline the body and mind, body and speech in particular, and also mind, but how to discipline that to aim it toward the positive, to sort of imitate being in nirvana before you get there by being ethical. And three, mind or mental cultivation, developing a higher power of mind by meditating and cultivating concentration and deep insight. So those are the three higher educations or super educations. The 8 branches of the Noble Path fit into that, in that 1 and 2, which are called the realistic worldview and the realistic life purpose, they connect with the accurate knowledge of reality and the education in wisdom, higher education in wisdom. And that is sort of put first in the beginning, because you first have to kind of correct any kind of ideology that supports the basic misknowledge, the egocentric misknowledge that causes you to misknow and to misunderstand reality. So those first 2 constitute the super education in wisdom. Then the super education in speech, action, and livelihood, the next 3, 4, and 5, they constitute the super education in ethics, where speech is considered a very important evolutionary or ethical act, in that good speech creates positive results, and bad speech, harmful lies, harsh speech, etc., is very damaging and so forth. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then action is evolutionary action or karmic action, action that controls what happens to you in life. You get a result from what you do. And Buddha took the word karma, in this case, out of the Vedic ritual, where, as you may remember, I said, karma was the action that you do in a ritual to get the gods to favor you and to make your life come out well and to determine your fate in a positive way. And Buddha said, no, the gods are not being effective in that, and that's not karma. Your karma is what you do ethically. If you dish out whatever you dish out in the world, you will get it back from the world. Who lives by the sword dies by the sword. Who lives lovingly and altruistically, others will like that person, and they will have good results in their interaction with other beings in the world. So karma then became like the equivalent to evolution, really, how you shape your more positive life form in this life and in future lives, rather than just some sort of physical genetic thing like evolution is considered in the West. And livelihood, of course, then is the practical action of how you live in the world. And in the case of the Buddha's movement, the ideal livelihood was to be a mendicant, that is to say, a full lifelong educational person, supported on scholarship, basically, by the whole society on the free lunch. And he was clever in organizing it in that he didn't ask for breakfast or dinner, just lunch. They had a big lunch before noon, a brunch, really, basically. So the whole Buddhist community was based on the free lunch, as we'll talk about more later. And then finally, the creative effort, the 6th branch, it sort of feeds into all of them to develop your wisdom, to develop your ethics, and to develop your mental focus. You use creative effort. So 6th one goes everywhere. 7th one, mindfulness, is beginning to be aware of the way your mind works internally. And the 8th one, concentration, is where you begin to develop a higher power of mind, where you can really sort of make whatever you understand to be the reality. You should really transform reality with your mind, actually, by the way mind is so concentrated and so powerful. So then the realistic worldview via the correction of unrealistic worldviews. By the way, yes, I use the term realistic here. The usual thing you'll find in many of the books you read, right view and wrong view, and right worldview, right action, right this, right that. You'll read right and wrong. And right and wrong is good, but it kind of has a connotation of following a rule. So because ethics, especially religious ethics in the West, in monotheist traditions, is following what God tells you. And there's a formula in Buddhism where Buddha tells you, so you do it. And so then you're following a rule, and then you do it right or you do it wrong. I really like realistic because it indicates that everything is based on Buddha's understanding of reality. And if you know what is real, then you will naturally be ethical, you will naturally have a calm mind, you will naturally have a wise mind. And so realistic and unrealistic, I think, is much better in terms of fitting into the way the reality really is. And so I love that translation. Someone else originally used it, and I just fell in love with it, and I always use it. So you can just read, remember that when you read another book, you'll see right worldview or right belief and right this and that. And then that implies wrong, The opposite of realistic is unrealistic, and that's what we are. We tend to be living in denial. So it's the main work of wisdom. The idea being that one's worldview or belief should reflect reality and therefore meaning being realistic. The realistic worldview, therefore, is more scientific than religious, actually. Buddha is not asking for belief in anything unseeable, unexperienceable, only for reasonable beliefs. And basically, the main thing that you believe in is causation, causality. And that's just being realistic. That's not some high, like God in the sky, or some invisible thing. Causality is, well, in a way, causality is indivisible, because you don't necessarily know what are the causes of things when you look at them at first. But basically, still, it's very practical. And we consider, when those people talk about the West as developing science coming out of Greece, they talk about the discovery of causality by the ancient Greek thinkers, and they make a big fuss that and they wrongly think that only the West discovered causality. So now Buddha also said right away after his own enlightenment experience that ultimate reality is beyond description, beyond ordinary conceptual beliefs, and can only be experienced by open awareness. In this way, his teaching is like those of science, privileging experience and experiment over belief and theory. So as a scientist, he critiqued and avoided all dogmatism.